Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of the Spokespeople Podcast. I'm your host, Dave, with our co-host.
Also Dave.
There you have it, the 2 Daves No Waiting, your favorite 2 double Ds. We're pretty excited. We took a little bit of a hiatus just to kind of update everyone. We had a couple weeks off while Dave has some pretty interesting news in the fact that he purchased a new home.
Oh, I thought I was pregnant. Yeah, we got a home. It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
We're like 6 blocks from Warren's house. It's pretty sweet.
And the funny thing about it is as he was moving out of one, the storm that hit us all a few weeks ago hit him in both places, and he had to clean up both yards.
Yeah, that was true. But we didn't lose power, so that was cool.
Well, that's good.
Yeah.
That's not a bad deal, at least. Yeah. I was over on the Isle of Man. So, I was coaching women's football over there. So I got a chance to go over there. I was invited to go over and do that.
That's
First
cool.
American to ever coach on the Isle of Man.
So we're talking soccer, football.
That is correct.
Okay.
Yes. Over there, it's called football. Here, it's called soccer.
Yes.
So we did that. And as you all recall, our last guest was the ultra athlete, Teresa Bender. We want to thank her again. We'll follow up with her in the future. This is our 12th episode. We're kind of getting back into the gear of things, and we're going to be having more. Ideally, our goal is to be able to produce and publish one of these a week on Wednesdays, sometime around the noon lunch hour, so that you can enjoy your tuna fish sandwich, Diet Coca-Cola, and a good podcast from the Spokespeople Podcast.
Yes, we're nutritionally part of a balanced meal. So
Absolutely that, and we also help the sobriety issue as well.
Yeah, because you can't do this while drinking. You should.
I was going to say you can't do it while not drinking, but
okay. Well, we're trying to encourage sobriety here, Dave. So
you do you, Dave.
Some of us are 12-stepping, so
that's fine.
All right.
So today, surprisingly, one of our guests here, I knew I'd known him for a long time, and then all of a sudden I realized where we knew each other. We'll get into that in a little bit, but we have Eric O'Brien and Rafal Doloto. Did I say that right?
Rafal, yeah.
Rafal?
Yep.
Well, there we go.
Rafal.
Rafal. Okay. So these guys are here, and Dave has been a close associate with these guys, and we don't hold that against them. But we're definitely going to, Dave, why don't you take over and introduce and kind of lead a little bit here.
Oh, now I'm going to start sweating. So I've known Eric and Rafal for many years because we've raced together, done the same races, known the same people, went around the same kind of circuit of cyclocross and road race and mountain bike, just the local stuff and also regional stuff. So,
okay.
Yeah. And they're putting on a big race this coming November.
That's correct, yeah.
And so that's what we're here to do, is to promote the race and get the word out.
Okay. Well, I've actually known Eric longer than you, Dave.
I've probably known you a good 15 years. Don't you think?
So
2010 probably, Dave.
Yeah.
Nebraska State Championship road
like
race
that.
out at Mount Michael. Maybe it was the first time I think we ran into each other.
Yeah. Back when there were road races.
Yeah, but the other Dave and I have known each other for
I think
a
we're
lot
coming up on
longer.
our 40-year reunion.
So who
from
beat
high
up
school.
whom when you guys went to prep?
Neither.
Oh, come on.
No.
No, I don't.
Who graduated first? Obviously you, Dave.
No, we
Well,
both
alphabetical
graduated.
order. Dave H before Eric O.
Oh, you guys were actually the same year.
We were classmates.
Yeah, we were actually in the same class.
Wow.
Yeah.
Look at
Wow.
1988.
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
So I've got shoes older than the length of time
So
you've known
which
him.
one of you guys was senior altar boy? That's what everyone wants to know.
You know, it wasn't me. It wasn't me.
I came close for a while and then dodged that at the
I
end.
had my own Diet Coke and Snickers bar with me when I picked it up at the convenience store. So
we're
I
all
was fine.
recovering Catholics here.
Yes, I'm definitely recovering.
Who all was an altar boy? Were you ever an altar boy?
I was.
I was.
I was.
B?
No altar boy. I helped with retreats in high school. But,
okay.
But no, I was never an altar boy.
What about you, Ralph?
Raffle?
Come on.
Catholicism in Poland's a little bit more serious than it is here. Let's just leave it at that.
Oh, so-
and let's just move on.
Altar boy is a paying position, or what's going on?
Well, just leave it like that.
All right, man. There's some stuff about Ralph's past that the CIA knows about, but you don't. So
Yeah. So let's talk about this race, guys. It's a cyclocross race. It is the Mark Savery Grand Prix down at Swanson Park.
That's correct.
When is that going to be held?
November 2nd and 3rd, the first two.
we're doing 2 days this year?
Yeah, the first.
Awesome.
We're doing 4.
What?
Yeah. So the first first weekend in November, 2nd and 3rd. That's your Dave Henson. You're right at Swanson Park in Bellevue, Nebraska. It's a course that Mark Savery set up and promoted a race. 2007.
It was there for a couple, 3-4 years, wasn't
Yeah,
it?
so,
And everyone raved because it was such a great course, 'cause Mark
2012,
knew so much.
2013, 2014,
Something like that,
somewhere
yeah.
in there.
Yeah.
And so after Mark Savery was a friend and a teammate of all of ours.
Yeah.
Who won the World Championship, Masters World Championship in cyclocross in Louisville, Kentucky in 2013. Mm-hmm. Was second a number of times in
Rafal here was his pit crew.
Yeah,
Nationals.
Nationals.
Yeah.
Yeah, his nickname at the Nationals was always the Deuce because
Yeah.
couple of guys from Boulder always managed to beat him. He always was there, Terreno second. And eventually when both Dwight and Paul, is it Paul?
Weber,
It doesn't matter. Weber,
yeah.
Pete.
Weber,
That's right,
yeah.
there you go. Aged up, Adam Meyerson actually aged into his category. So once again, the one chance that Mark had to get first, Adam sniped him at
Second
the
at
line.
Nationals, first at Worlds.
So I think he's had like
Kind of a
five or
good
six,
resume.
Yeah.
silver.
So he promoted a race on this our closest approximation of his course at Swanson, and then Mark passed away young from cancer a number of
3 years ago.
3 years ago, yeah. So Harvest Racing has decided that we wanted to honor Mark's memory. And the enthusiasm that he had for cyclocross, the way that he got all of us into cyclocross and sort of helped build it as a race discipline here in Omaha. We wanted to sort of bring back the race that he promoted on the course that he laid out as sort of as a testament to his enthusiasm and joy for the sport and the impact that he had on all of us as bike racers and people and friends. The other thing is that cyclocross, with Mark's passing and a couple of people in Lincoln sort of moving on from the sport, we had a year, I think, where there was not a cyclocross race promoted
two
in
years.
Nebraska at all. And
Yeah.
so Harvest Racing saw this as an opportunity to sort of keep cross as part of our competitive cycling culture.
Okay. Now, Dave, you ride. So you ride with these guys on occasion too, but you also ride with Velo, and they're doing a cross race.
Yeah, we're going to put on our cross race probably toward the end of November. I'd have to check the schedule.
So from what Todd Ramsey, who is one of Dave's teammates, and I've talked about, we're thinking of Mark Savery Memorial Classic on the 2nd and 3rd of November.
Okay.
And then Omaha Velo's race the following Saturday
Okay.
on the 9th. And then
Awesome.
the Husker cycling team
Okay.
is going to bring back an old course at
Lincoln's
Pioneers,
gonna get-
Pioneers
Oh,
Park
dude,
in
this is
Lincoln,
fully on
Nebraska
right now.
on the 10th of November. So 4 races, 2nd, 3rd, 9th, and 10th, back to back.
Oh, that's so great.
A 4-race series.
Man, we used to have it going on back in the day.
This is a community that should have cyclocross, shouldn't it?
Oh, absolutely.
So
Yeah, I mean-
I'm glad to be a part of bringing it back or sustaining it, if you will.
Yeah.
So let's take a step back for a second. You guys have been riding together for a long time.
Correct.
But, Ruff, what got you into cycling?
What got me into cycling? I always cycled as a kid in my childhood home in Poland. And then when we moved here, I kind of stopped doing it. Pretty much till after college. I was kind of living the whole immigrant life of trying to figure out my way around. And basically after my grad school, I started kind of getting back into mountain biking and just kind of commuting to work. When I started doing this, believe it or not, Blogspot was like a popular thing. And people used to write these long stories about their excursions. So I started reading all the local ones, and we had several local
Didn't
blogs.
Brady have one?
Brady had one. Mark had one.
Oh, Mark had one, yeah.
Lincoln guys had folks from Lincoln podcast blog that was great, and then a bunch of endurance athletes that are prominent cyclists in the area. I kind of got intrigued by all the stuff that they were doing on bikes. And then eventually I just kind of met all of them up and just started riding with all of them and training with all of them. And that was about 16, 17 years ago, something like that. So, kind of just, it's been pretty great ride. And I've been very fortunate to be at the right time, met the right people.
Didn't you meet your wife on mountain biking?
No, I met my wife at Homie Inn.
Where?
Homie Inn.
I thought she was riding with Roxy and them on
No.
Tuesday night ladies.
That's
group
a
or something.
different thing. That's a different.
Oh, that's
thing
a
we can
different
talk
Megan?
about.
Sorry, my bad.
No, it's a different thing altogether. But I've
heard of mixing metaphors, but-
Nothing like Dave to really just
but
throw a wrench in it.
that's really it. I've been doing this basically racing for 15 years plus. Everything minus road. I just kind of never found the appeal of it. But all the other categories were in it. And then Mark and I used to mountain bike all the time. That was like when 29ers were like brand new. And then kind of like Dave, he went and bought a house and kind of stopped riding for like a year. And after they settled in, he was like, there was a big announcement that said, U.S. is getting world championships for the pros and for the masters in like 3 years' time. And he was like, all right, man, I'm going to like train and I'm going to win this jersey. And we're all like, oh, okay, Mark. But if there's one thing that you could say about Mark Savery is that he's stubborn to one of the most stubborn and detail-oriented people I ever met in my life. So he proved us wrong 3 years later. And through his just passion, his infectious passion to cyclocross, well, kind of picked it up. And I traveled with him doing cross for probably 5 or 6 years, 7 years. Mm-hmm. Then I had a kid, and I kind of just took a step back because that's a very time intense.
Yeah, being a parent is,
Well, no, cyclocross is more time intensive than being a parent.
So, Eric, how did you get into it?
When I was in my mid-20s, I decided that I needed to go I needed to go to Ireland to see places, that my family had been talking about my entire life. And it seemed that the cheapest way.
O'Brien, that's French, right?
It is.
Okay.
Brittany, actually. So, yeah. So it's O'Brien on one side and Highland on the other. And so I realized that the best way to get around Ireland on a working class budget was on the back of a bicycle. So I bought a bike. I rode. It just trained for 2 or 3 months, and then I flew to Dublin, spent a week there, and then I rode the west coast of Ireland over the course.
What kind of bike was
the
it?
course of a summer? It was a it was a full rigid Schwinn 26er mountain bike with big knobby tires. Like probably in retrospect the worst choice I could have made to carry. And it was a self-supported tour. I was camping.
Yeah, but we're
in hostels.
You're Irish, so you have to make it hard deliberately.
I had to suffer. Yeah, that's our lot.
part of the culture.
Suffering is part of the gig.
Yeah. And then when I got back from that trip, a friend of mine that I knew from a different part of my life had started mountain biking and took me on that same bike that I took to Ireland, took me to Swanson. And
Who was that?
Maya Summer, who ran, who is now the executive director of Astute Coffee, formerly the Bike Union, a nonprofit.
Oh man.
So Maya and I started riding mountain bikes, and then when I went to graduate school in Northern California, there was a huge roadie racing scene, and
for sure.
University of California at Davis had a really very nationally known road racing team.
Yeah,
and
UC Davis.
As a way to balance. I had 2 small kids while we were in grad school. I was in a really pretty challenging PhD program. I realized that for my mental sanity, I needed to find a little bit more work-life balance, and so I started racing with the collegiate club team just as a way to burn off energy and get rid of stress and sort of find ways to cope with the challenges of a young family and a PhD program. So,
What kind of bike did you have then?
a Fuji, the local bike and ski shop sponsored the UC Davis Aggie team, and so they.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I got addicted to carbon and Dura Ace components at a relatively young age as a bike racer. Yeah, so I raced a Fuji.
I remember that Fuji.
Yeah,
You don't see a lot of Fujis around here. That's kind of an East Coast, West Coast thing.
Yeah, so when we moved back, we moved back to Omaha in 2010, and Mark Savery was one of the first people that I met, and sort of started to. I remember him talking about cyclocross pretty early in our relationship.
It was kind of an exotic thing at the time because nobody was doing it here.
As much as I raced in NorCal for the better part of 5 or 6 years, I read maybe one article in Velo News about cyclocross, about a nationals in Kansas City.
Right.
I had not seen. I'd never seen a cross race. I'd never been to one.
Yeah.
And I got back here, and there were cyclocross practices that Mark was putting on as he was trying to train to get back into national level shape, and I sort of got hooked because
Was that back in Chili Greens, Rafal?
We started off at Seymour Smith. That's where the first year there were.
At the old what would you call it? Soapbox Derby track. That was cool, man.
Yeah,
Yep.
that my
So
first.
were you racing across where they have the shotgun range so you can see how fast you get your speed up? Is that what you're doing?
No, there was a course.
You could hear it though.
Oh, yeah.
Oh yeah, all the time.
If you go on some people's Strava, you can still see some people ride it.
Man, I'm telling you, that course was the shit though.
That's a very challenging course just because of huge elevation gains.
Oh, yeah.
Basically, it's a flood protection zone, right? So they banked up everything up to 72nd Street to keep the water out because that's what most of our parks are. It's water mitigations. So yeah, it was very challenging. The city of Omaha was not very keen on us having a sanctioned race there. So eventually we went to Chili Greens. If people know where that is, that's where the UNO
the
baseball,
old golf course.
the UNO baseball
They
field
got
is now.
decommissioned.
Omaha University of Nebraska Venture Outdoor Center was responsible for maintaining that. And we were there for a couple of seasons, like 2 seasons.
Yeah, I think it was at least 2 seasons.
And then UNO was like, hey, you guys kind of got to go. We're going to start construction here and something. So we moved on to where currently all the cyclocross practices are. The joke is that they're secret cyclocross practices, but everyone knows about them. And that's at Roberts Park, right next to the skateboard area.
It's an interesting mix of usages. There's skateboarders, ultimate frisbee, and then there's us.
Yeah, 3, somewhat non-mainstream sports, but it's just off the Keystone Trail between Cass and Western Avenue. There's a park there, and again, it's a course that Mark set up.
Yeah, Mark said that
he used to do
way
clinics
there
for
too.
him to train for his own racing and to help other people get into the sport.
Yeah.
So
when you went to Ireland and you got a bike, and you were, but you didn't know much about bikes at that time. Did you? Now, but in high school, did you ever do the Blue Jay Cycling Club?
No, I didn't. Like so many other kids, I think I rode my bike around the neighborhood. I did a little bit of BMX. The minute I started driving, bikes just kind of went completely out of my way of thinking. And as far as there were a couple of people at Dave that we went to high school with that raced road.
Remember Mark Hepperman?
I do.
Hepperman is a name I have heard.
James Swanson rode for a while.
And Fletch.
Yeah.
So Fletch Hepperman and I used to ride Bianchis. We used to race Bianchis.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And then there was another guy who was a year older than us.
How is it that you were that cool then?
There's a lot of things you don't know about me, Dave.
I
And
guess.
You've never taken the time.
And I love the fact that when you
So
asked about
consider
people
it.
being
It's
cool.
an egocentrism
We'll
that
talk.
you have.
You got to meet him 50%.
We'll talk later.
No.
I know too much about Dave. That's the problem.
Yeah.
My
So-
therapist says I'm
Yeah, we
getting
all
better.
do.
Yeah, Dave's an open book.
Yeah, it's not a lot of guessing over here.
So that got you into, that's what started you, and that's what brought you over too. And so now you guys are here, and you're racing on the Harvest team, okay? And so you guys are putting on this race kind of as a memoriam. But what's the mission behind the race? What's your ultimate objective of putting on this event?
I think if you talk to different people on harvest racing, you might get different answers. I remember last year I said to somebody, halfway through the thing, you run around. Cyclocross involves setting up a course, laying out stakes, taping the thing. It's a really it's a labor intensive
20 to 50 man hours, probably 100 man hours
to install a course.
Yeah.
And so we do that
before anybody starts.
We do that the day before the race, and it's just it can be exhausting. And then you get there first thing in the morning at 6 o'clock in the morning to make sure that the course hasn't fallen
And you
apart.
can't even race because you're too busy.
I raced, but I rode right through the tape and had to fix the course that I spent the previous day setting up.
That's hilarious.
I'll take blame if somebody else did it, but I stopped my race to fix the thing that happened during. But so I remember being physically and intellectually exhausted by noon on race day, and somebody walked up and said, "Say, I'm so glad you guys are doing this. What gave you the idea?" And I said, "Well, because I miss my friend Mark." And I'm not good at processing my feelings. So it gives me a chance to putting on a bike race as a way to remember him and feel closer to him now that he's gone. So I do it because I don't want cyclocross to completely disappear from the Omaha, Lincoln area. I do it because I want to remember a friend who loved the sport and taught me that love of the sport. And because I want riders who are younger than we are to have the same sorts of opportunities that we did as we were younger men.
But you guys are setting up a scholarship fund, though.
Yep, that's kind of in the works. We're trying to figure out all the avenues for the nonprofit world and NICA. So hopefully, the idea is that eventually, since we are a nonprofit bike team,
and what's NICA, Rafal, real quick?
National Inter something Scholastic Cycling Association.
It's a high school league.
It's a high school league, right?
I know what NICA is.
Yeah.
Well, just for the listeners.
Oh, that's true.
Anyways,
Well, episode 10 has got Mac on there, and he races NICA. Episode 4 has Claire on it, and she races NICA. And her mom was on there, and she's one of the administrators on NICA. So we've discussed NICA. So all of our routine, regular listeners, which, by the way, if I can just plug this in there, if you are listening, hit the like and follow. And if you like and follow, you would actually know this, and we wouldn't have to waste anyone's time with Dave interrupting.
Yeah,
but please,
like and
by all
follow,
means,
and
Ralph,
Dave will
please
send you
go.
candy in the mail.
yeah. So the idea is the proceeds from this will go towards a scholarship for NICA fees to somebody.
Nice.
And we would like to kind of make a point of emphasis to make it in Mark's name, so it's not just like a generic scholarship. It's just like, oh, this is Mark Savery, because as he was transitioning from being a competitive racer, he was trying to take a step back and become more of a mentor and then a coach to younger kids. We had a number of juniors on our team at that time that he would write free coaching plans, kind of give them a pep talk, and just trying to transition into that next stage of his career as a lifelong cyclist.
Okay. All right.
One of Mark's clients as a young racer is my daughter Abby, who is 23 now. But his training plans got her to racing at the national level. She and her classmate at the University of Nebraska at Lincoln, Dylan McNeil, won cyclocross collegiate nationals as a club team. And that was largely the result of Mark's leadership and mentorship.
Yeah, he did too
helping
good of a
bring
job
these
with
young
that one.
riders up through the ranks.
Nice.
So.
Yeah, Abby's a pistol fast.
So yeah, we just the scholarship will memorialize Mark's contributions to cycling as well, hoping to give a deserving NICA athlete a chance to reduce some of the barriers to the sport, which can be considerable. Gear is not bikes are not
cheap.
inexpensive. No,
We're Mark and the team and everybody's just trying to do what Mark would be doing right now. This is the stuff he would be doing. He'd be putting on a race. He'd be coaching. He'd be mentoring, and he'd be out there practicing with us, and he'd be telling us, the pointers and this and that.
We've got a couple of people I think that are emerging in the community to kind of help foster the growth of the sports and different things out there. We had Teresa Bender on here, and we were talking about her. And she said that when she finishes up her racing days, she'd like to get into the mentoring and help female athletes get up there. And I think that's incredibly. It's giving back, is what it is.
Yeah, and also you don't just want to quit. You know,
You don't.
you know,
You never
just-
do.
Part of the reason we do this is because we like the people that we're doing it with. You
Yeah,
know,
yeah.
Even if we aren't super great friends with them, we like the fact that they're there and we're all riding together and pushing each other. It's not a race if only one person shows up.
Cycling, and I just had this conversation with somebody that cycling has a subculture. It's very, very much a subculture, and the people that are involved in it, everybody gets into cycling for different reasons. But the biggest thing I've noticed is that social aspect. Riding bikes, staying in shape, doing something healthy, having a good time. But when you can throw in a good cause behind it as well, then you're just putting icing on the cake.
The social aspect of cyclocross is one of my favorite things, right? So for folks who don't know, I don't know exactly what the audience is, but for people who don't know, cyclocross involves half hour to 45-minute, in some cases 60-minute races through a park or an open sort of area. 1.5 to miles or
3 miles.
a lap or so, and so it's really spectator friendly, and cyclocross races tend to turn into social things.
And that was the great thing about Mark's course that we're trying to do here. That Eric puts on is you could pretty much see the entire race from the infield, which is you can't really do that often, and it was really cool to do that. But what B is saying about the cyclocross, it's like a scene. It's not just a race. There's stuff happening.
Right.
It's like a Rocky Horror Picture Show. There's audience participation.
And there's race after race after race.
Yes, there's race after race.
So
you get done
men-
racing, and then boom, you come over there and you start cheering on the other people.
The first one I saw was last year. When I was the Velo one. I went to that one. That's the first one I've actually seen.
Yeah.
And I was kind of mesmerized by it. I was like, this is a lot of fun. I mean, you could tell the energy was very, very different from, running the NOS and stuff like that. It was very social, very interactive. You could tell people were there to race, ride, and just have a good time.
Yeah, you race for 45 minutes, and then you spend the rest of the day cheering your friends who are either in different competitive categories or different age groups.
Right.
So, that sort of that party atmosphere is one of the things that I most enjoy about cyclocross.
Very cool. Well, guys, we're going to pause for a second. We're going to take a small commercial break. For anyone out there who's listening, if you're interested in becoming a sponsor of the podcast, then please send us an email at thebikeway.com, and we'll reach out to you. So let's take that break, and we'll be back in a flash. All right, we're going to take a second here to give a shout-out to our sponsor, The Bikeway. For a quarter century, The Bikeway has been the premier destination for all things cycling in Omaha and beyond, with a legacy of passion, dedication, and community. Discover the latest and greatest from top brands like Giant, Liv, Transition, Santa Cruz, Scott, Bianchi, Sunday BMX, and DK. We've got the perfect ride to fuel your adventure. More than just a shop, explore our extensive selection of apparel and accessories. And the Bikeway Certified Service Department has you covered. From basic maintenance to suspension work to custom builds and everything in between. And while you're here, treat yourself to a delicious cup of coffee. As a rider-owned and operated establishment, you can trust that we're dedicated to providing the best possible experience for fellow enthusiasts like you. So join us at the Bikeway, where every ride is an adventure. Here's to 25 years of riding together and many, many more. All right, and we are back. Once again, thanks to the Bikeway for sponsoring the Spokespeople's podcast. Once again, we're here with Eric and Raf, and they're talking about the Mark Savery Grand Prix. These guys race for Harvest Racing Team.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
You guys are sponsored by Trek, correct?
Trike, Schramm,
Schramm?
Chesterman, Coke, Bergman Incentives.
Okay. So I imagine that these guys are also going to be helping with the ride as well as far as sponsors.
They
Some of
are.
them will be.
Yeah. We're lucky enough to have, I think, some of the best prizes for cyclocross in the Midwest, really. So all of our podium finishers take home either a helmet or a pair of shoes.
Last year Carly got some wheels.
We've given away tubular wheels to winners. But everybody who finishes on a podium at our cross race takes home merchandise from Trek or from SRAM. And then last year we've had cash sponsors, which we're eager to line up again. But the highest categories of the Pro 1-2 men and the Pro 1-2-3 women will get cash prizes at the Mark Savery Memorial Grand
Was
Prix.
KG lining some stuff up from Bergman's?
Yeah, so our friend Kevin Galinsky is one of the principals at Bergman Incentives. They do corporate branding, and so he's provided.
Yeah, they always have some cool merch.
Hats, T-shirts, things like
Yeah,
that. Yeah.
cool
Okay.
stuff.
Yeah.
So November 2nd, November 3rd, and then Velo on the 9th, and then the Husker Cycling
Club
on the 10th.
That's correct. Yeah.
And so this is kind of a series. I thought I heard you guys talking about a precast about it's got a name.
Yeah, so this is the first year. It's the third year that Harvest has promoted the Mark Savery Memorial Classic Grand Prix. Omaha Velo, Dave's organization, has done a cyclocross race the last 2-3 years.
Yeah, we've done them at Mandan, and we've done them at Lake Cunningham.
Okay.
I'm looking at another venue. I think it'd be sweet, but I'm not going to say anything yet.
And so one of our junior under 23 racers, Matthew Dahlke, is a senior and is the president of the University of Nebraska cycling team. And he wanted to bring cyclocross back to Lincoln. So he is going to use an old classic course at
The one
Pioneer,
Schmitty used to use all the time?
at Pioneers Park in
Dude,
Lincoln.
that's
And so we're calling it. I had a brainstorm. We're going to call it the Lenoma Omnium of cyclocross.
that's baller.
And so our two races,
Is that not
Omaha
baller?
Velos race and Husker Cycling race, we're going to score it an Omnium.
Throws me back to the Lenoma Mashers.
I know, dude. They were
right.
awesome.
Yeah, so
I've been to the Lenoma restaurant, actually.
So we'll have prizes for the series as well, Dave's. In other words, so if somebody finishes first, third, second, and fifth in the 4 days of racing in their category, right? So we'll be giving people points for their place of finish, and whoever has the highest number of points over the course of the 4 races will win series prizes as well.
This is going to be awesome.
So, quick
I
question.
don't think we've ever had a series before. We've had tons of races, but we never had a series.
No, I think it's cool.
Haven't had a series since I've been back in Omaha in 2010, 2011.
Well, there was that Wednesday night series for a while.
Yeah, I thought that if we gave riders the last couple of years, there's only been 2 races, and so
I
I
know.
figured if we doubled that, if we race 2 days instead of 1, giving people giving people a motivation to race more than once or twice
Right.
makes it a lot easier to train and to get to get ready to go. So I think it's a good inducement for people.
Now, the Husker Cycling Club is going to be that's UNL's cycling club.
That's correct.
So they're going to have some kids down there, and they're going to more than likely be able to do 4 days like that. But when I look at the science behind rest and recovery on this, I'm sitting here saying, you guys are going to die. So we have medical there, correct? Right?
We have several
We have a first aid kit.
certified
Okay.
people.
Is Maskey an EMT?
One of our-
Maskey's an
one of our
EMT.
teammates
Yeah,
is an
Maskey's an
EMT.
EMT.
Not only that, the call out station for Swanson was actually first aid EMT building right up the street. But cyclocross is a very safe sport. Even if you crash, which sometimes does happen, you crash on grass most likely.
Right.
You're not going to hurt yourself. This is not like a crit crash where most likely you're going to break your collarbone,
Or lose a bunch of skin.
or
Right.
lose a bunch of skin. So
Or
it's
both.
a lot safer. The speed's a lot lower. You're never really going fast into a turns. Like most of the speed that you gain.
Oh, so like the way Dave normally races, not fast.
Kind of, yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
Right.
he does
They
okay.
catch you off guard there, Ralph?
He's trying not to acknowledge that you actually said something true.
I'll take the 5th.
That works. That works. So now, for any of the listeners out there that are excited about this, what's it cost to get in?
Race $30 per race.
Yeah, usually.
Unless someone registers for all 4 events, then we'll knock it down to 25. So
What about juniors?
only $10 for juniors.
Yeah, there you go.
So yeah, we try and make it as affordable as
Sometimes
possible.
we have a kids race or a strider race, which will be like just a portion of the course, just for funsies.
I think you should get some of the adult guys on Strider races. I
Okay.
think that would be fun
This
to watch.
has been done before, and it gets out of hand quick.
That's
Yeah.
what I'm saying. That's
Yeah.
what I'm saying. But that's a great idea.
Over 35 and bending over on a strider. That's
Remember,
that's an
remember,
injury prone situation.
remember single speed speedo at Jingle Cross?
Yeah, I remember all
That
these
was awesome.
doctors running around in bikinis in December in Iowa
was
City.
awesome.
No?
Yeah, so $30 a race.
$30 a race.
Or
That's good.
25 a race if you sign up for the
Hey,
whole
Rafal,
series.
talk about Roberts Park for a little bit.
Yeah, so we've realized that these races are not the only ones. After Labor Day, the first Wednesday, 5:30, Roberts Park, the now broadcasted secret practice will commence. Really, what it is basically a race simulation. There's a course laid out, and there's basically 3 heats. The first heat establishes basically how you would race at the beginning of a cross race, which is like go super hard out on the first lap and kind of start maintaining a position. Then usually there's a second heat, which is basically maintaining a position through the race. That's the longest duration one. And then there is the last heat, which basically is the reverse of the first one, where you're kind of maintaining and going slower at the first lap. Then you just kind of try to punch it as hard as you can on the last lap. So for those people who are interested, a couple of things. We require helmets for all of them. And you can bring any bike that you want as long as it doesn't have bar ends on it. So if you have a mountain bike, you're more than welcome to. You have a gravel bike, bring that over. If you have a road bike, modern bikes, road bikes can
With the bigger
fit,
tires.
fit pretty wide tires.
Yeah, you could. give it a
You might
whirl.
not get the traction, but that track is very fast, and
It's mostly grass.
you can run the whole course on filed bits, which is basically
Yeah.
almost like a
Yeah.
road tire. So,
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
I think there usually is some refreshments at the last practice, and that practice usually coincides with daylight savings. Mainly 5:30. If you want to run those 3 heats, you're just going to run out of light because after daylight savings hits, it gets dark around 6:30, so you're not
Yeah.
going to be
Right.
able to do anything. So.
Yeah,
Yes.
so people come before 5:30 and they'll do some slower warm up laps. At 5:30, we have an actual USA cycling official. He brings a whistle, and we actually do race simulation. And so cyclocross is different than a lot of races. The sprint is at the start. That your mass start with all your guys. That's when you'll really sprint, because you want to be the first guy, a person to that corner, so that you don't have to put on the brakes. You know what I mean? And so if you're up in the front, you're braking a lot less. Cyclocross is a weird race. In 30 seconds, you can be a minute behind. True fact. And that's if you just your position or your sprint isn't that good, you can literally be that far behind in that quick a time. So in order to do well at that in a real race, you've got to Todd's doing some stuff there.
Once again, this is a bicycle
This is an
podcast
actual bike
in
shop.
a bicycle shop.
Live at Bike Shop.
Talking about bikes in a bike shop. So you want to do all of this practice, and so we have some really really fast guys. Some Category 1 guys. Brady's really fast. Some other guys. Names are escaping me now.
Dylan is a collegiate
Oh
champ.
yeah, but Dylan's in Lincoln, but he'll come up.
Yeah, he'll come up.
McNeil,
Okay.
and he won the championship with O'Brien's kid Abby.
There's
Some fast guys.
yeah.
So you learn how to ride your bike faster. I've been doing this a long time, and I'm okay. I'm not like as strong as I used to be, but there's guys that are better, and they take better lines here and there, and you're always learning something. It's like NASCAR. You really are getting in there and moving around. Right next to the other guys, looking at their lines. Sometimes you're drafting them. Sometimes you want to be in front. It's a little bit of a chess game, but it's at Mach 3.
Yep.
You know what I
Right,
mean?
right.
So,
Yeah, that's the most appealing. Like, so people say, what's so appealing about cyclocross? And finally, we had a meeting, internal harvest meeting, and people like, oh, we need to pre-ride the course, and I was like, no, that's part of the allure of a given day. Is you go there, you ride one lap, you ride another lap, and then you try to figure out the course on the fly. So like, you really like, you almost never race out of people. You're racing the course, and you're basically just trying to ride the perfect lap every lap.
Nice.
So if you go and watch the pros, like they get.
There's a little bit of Jedi in that.
It's
some masterful stuff.
It is Jedi, because you have to focus on exactly what you're doing right now, and if you mess up, you can't. There is no fix it. Like the only chance where you get to fix it is at the next lap. So like, you have this in your mind of like, I need to ride this perfect lap. This is what I'm good at. This is what I'm not good at, and try to ride the course that accentuates your positive attributes, and then tries to minimize something that you're not good at. So,
Okay.
And talk about Jedi mind tricks. I mean, Mark Savery, the man's skill on the bike, you could watch him, but you couldn't do it the way he did it. I mean, it just, the control that he had and the absolute skill. You could be going as fast and you'd still lose because you would not be as quick. I don't know. It's weird, but that level of skill, you can see that out on the course and you can really appreciate it. Like in short order, when guys go around corners and they're going faster and they're not using their brakes and it's a flow, it's something to see. It's really cool.
Okay. Eric, do you want to say something?
To hear Rafal and Dave talk about it, I want to add one other thing. As a slow rider myself,
You're not slow.
There's a lot of fun to be had at the back of these packs, just pushing yourself and practicing. It's an incredibly beginner-friendly, welcoming environment.
Oh, absolutely.
And so a first-time rider shows up, and one of us will take them around the course, show them where it goes, ride with them two or three times, give them some pointers if they ask for it. And so it's a cyclocross is a culture that welcomes newbies, I think, better than any other cycling discipline.
Thing. It's very inclusive.
Yeah.
So, last question, fellas. How do I sign up? Like, if I'm a listener right now and I'm thinking, man, this actually does sound pretty good. I mean, everything Eric said and everything Raf said is really cool. The Dave guy's kind of throwing me for a loop, but other than that, where do I go to sign up?
So bikereg.com is the website that handles registration for competitive cycling, for sanctioned licensed competitive cycling in the
Are we
United
listed
States.
on USA Cycling yet?
Not yet. No,
Okay.
the permit is pending.
Okay.
But so we'll be on USA Cycling on their cyclocross regional
Schedule,
calendar. And registering for these events, you can do it at bikereg.com. If you Google Mark Savery Memorial Classic, it'll take you to our registration page.
Okay. All right.
And just one thing, USAC race licenses are required for all categories. I believe if you're a Cat 1 or Cat 2, and I've looked at the numbers, there are not that many of them, you cannot get a one-day license. So you have to have a valid USAC license in order to do that. If you are a lower category, you can just get an add-on one-day license. It's $10 a day. So if you're going to do like 8 races, which there's a lot in Des Moines that you can go and do, it kind of pays for itself. So
Okay. Well, guys, listen. I want to thank the both of you for coming out. So that is the Mark Savery Grand Prix. That is going to be November 2nd and 3rd at Swanson. And then the following weekend, we got Velo's race at... Where's Velo race being held at?
We're not sure yet. We're still
Okay.
establishing that. It might be Mandan. It might be Lake Cunningham. But I'm looking at another venue, and maybe we'll do a podcast on that one.
Okay. And then we've got, on the 10th, we've got the Husker down
And that'll be in Pioneer Park, right?
Pioneer Park.
Pioneers
right.
Park in
Pioneers
Lincoln.
Park. It's a
So-
on
it's
the east
classic,
side,
classic race course.
East side,
Yeah. So anybody out there who's interested, now is the time to sign up, go to practices on Wednesday nights, and start training and getting ready for this so you can go out and have a good time, support a really good cause, and also be out there and support somebody who did a whole hell of a lot for the cycling community. So that is the end of episode 12, ladies and gentlemen, and we are excited to be back on the saddle riding again for podcasts. We got more coming at you in the future. New guests. If you're interested in being a guest, reach out to us at info@thebikeway.com. Until then, be safe, keep riding.
Peace.